In this last episode, Leon Adams is going to share with us his insight on how the American market has evolved over the last few years and what he foresees for the next in terms of trends, desirability, what the client wants, what the client research. Well, keep on watching us and you'll get to learn something. Hi everyone, we are back for our last episode of the Cellini Retailer series. I'm here with Leon inside of the jewelry side of the store. One thing we didn't talk about, and I think it's an interesting topic to mention considering that you've been in the business for so many decades. How do you see the evolution of the American market when it comes to watch collecting, investment, if we like to say it this way, and just purchasing watches?
So the American market has definitely undergone a large transformation. I think if we go back and we look 15 years ago, there were certain companies that the U.S. collectors only sought and wanted to add to their collection. Of course, that being Patek Philippe, number one, I would say, and Rolex for that matter. There's a huge collector base for Rolex. But very, very few other brands were really sought after by the American market. And I think that the entire market has evolved. We have many, many new young collectors who are much more sophisticated. The older collectors are now branching out and have gone to many of the independents. And I think that this trend will continue for the future. I think that the collectors here are always looking for something special and unique. And the mainstream brands, the innovation, I think that the independents offer and the finishing and the quality that the independents offer are far superior to the mass market brands. Let's face it, if you're making 50, 60,000 watches a year, you can't possibly finish them as good as somebody who's making 100 or 200 watches. So in general, I think that the market, the American market has gotten much more sophisticated. I think that the American market will continue to seek out and find new watchmakers, new product, and not that they're gonna not purchase the others, they still will. Those companies are here to stay. But I think that the uptick in the independence is going to continue for years to come.
But do you think that also it has to do with offer and demand? We were mentioning a few hours ago the rise of education after COVID, where people got more knowledgeable than they used to, which means that the spectrum and the range of clients or potential clients have grown exponentially after COVID. And obviously independents are not for everyone, but because the amount of interest has grown so much that some of them want to be different than others, hence the independence, and the fact that most of the major brands don't have that many products to offer, is that because of this, that this market has kind of evolved in different ways?
I think the fact that as people have become more educated in the world of horology, that they are looking for things that they never thought they would look for. I think it was very common for somebody starting out in the watch industry to want to acquire their first Rolex and or their first Patek Philippe watch. And I think most of those collectors started out with those companies and continued with them. And today, I think due to the knowledge, due to the internet, due to social media, I think the American market is exposed to much more than they've ever seen before. And they now are aware of these small independent manufacturers making super quality timepieces. And let's face it, when you can't get something, you want it more. So the fact that some of these guys are making such small quantities, that's why you look and you see somebody like Kari Vutlanian now has a 7-year waiting list, or Rexap Rexhapi for his Acrivia product. I don't know, but I'm sure his waiting list is way up into 5 or 6 years at this point. So the fact that there's not a lot out there, I think the demand will continue and stay like that for a long time, because people, as they get more educated, they'll want to add that Grail watch to their collection, and they will wait for it.
But what about the status thing? Because it's also something of a trend. Like, you're wearing the watch that is recognizable. Like, not everybody can recognize a carat on a wrist. However, everybody can recognize a Rolex, an Omega, a Cartier, regardless of the reference. And I think, and we see it like this in Europe, for example, where you get a little bit of money, you invest into your watch because of status. You earn money, you earn more money, you're successful, you had a good business venture or whatever. But wearing those independents is a status that is even more niche than.
When you say the
brands.
status watches, I think the true collectors of timepieces are not so enamored with a status timepiece.
I hope you'd say that.
No, it's true. I think that the true watch aficionado and connoisseur of timepieces is looking for something much more understated, something of quality that's going to stand the test of time, whereas some of the other brands, and I'm not going to mention the names, but are more status oriented, they do attract those people, those collectors, and the collector will buy a piece like that. But I think that most of them will acquire one and then go on to something else. I don't really see the true connoisseur buying those status symbols I don't think it's as important in the year 2024. I think more people are just trying to be more low-key about what they own, and if they're wearing that Grail watch, it's going to be recognized by the people that they want to see it. The average consumer is not going to know about it. That's true.
And what do you think, especially being in New York City and looking at everything that's happened in the world, security-wise and thefts-wise?
Well, I didn't want to go there, but that's another very, very big problem, because a lot of those status symbol watches do attract let's put it this way, you're in certain cities, you're taking a risk wearing them, and you constantly hear stories about people getting their watches ripped off their wrists in restaurants or outdoor cafes or in hotel rooms. So that is something that comes with those pieces, and much more security should be taken if they're going to be worn in public. So again, that's kind of hurts them a bit. But then again, those companies don't make that many products to begin with. I mean, if you look at Richard Mille, he's not making that many pieces. It's one of the most sought after pieces to get ripped off these days. So you just got to be careful.
You don't feel that your clients or the New York City, of what you've been hearing, and I'm sure you've got friends in the industry, you haven't feel that the vibe of these clients not wanting to wear their watches anymore because of everything they're hearing, and now they want to wear an Apple Watch and that's it.
No, I'm not going to say they want to go to an Apple Watch. They might own an Apple Watch and wear it, but they'll still wear their fine timepiece. I think they're much more concerned with what they're wearing. You do take chances wearing a full gold bracelet watch these days, as you do with certain other brands, maybe an AP or a Richard Mille. So those people who do wear them, they're aware of what's going on. And yes, I think nowadays people are trying to be more low-key as opposed to being in the face of others. And I think that's another advantage that a lot of these independent makers have today.
I mean, social media also has helped quite drastically when you look at prices and pricing and waitlist and hype and all these things.
You know, a lot of people have bought these things on speculation, and when we sell a watch to somebody, we sell it as something that you have to love and wear and enjoy. We never sell a watch as an investment, although it's one of the few things you could own, use, wear it, and when you are tired of it and want to sell it, you will get something back for the watch. And in a rare case, you might make some money. Right. But that's
It's not the primary reason why you sell a watch.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'd like to hear that. Well, it means that a new golden era of watches is going to come, especially with you in the next couple of years.
I think that more retailers in the world are going to start carrying independent brands and looking for independent brands. As time goes on, I see the large corporations wanting to get away from the authorized dealer arrangement and will go probably completely vertical. And as time goes on, more retailers in the world will need to go to other avenues and look for other things they can sell if the mainstream brands are going to go direct to consumers. So I think that the independents and the small manufacturers is here to stay for a while.
Okay, that's cool. And I mean, it's a side question because we're more focused into watches, obviously, but the jewelry side of things, from what I've been hearing and analyzing, is jewelry has always been very steady. Has the jewelry consumption or the way women wear or buy jewelry has changed really over the years?
I think it's changed drastically. I think that if I look back into the late 90s and the early 2000s, it was very common for us to sell women large diamonds. And I see that today, people who already have been married for years and normally would have went to acquire a new diamond or a larger stone, today they're not doing that. Like I said, I think things have become a lot more low-key, a lot more let's be conservative and not throw it in other people's faces. And I see the trend for jewelry buying has been more fashion-oriented, easy to wear, comfortable wearing jewelry that a woman could buy for herself. But I'd say that the big diamond sales, at least in this country, have definitely gone down over the last 10 years.
Well, they were the biggest in the world anyway, so they still have a margin of best.
Yeah.
At least
And
the
now
European
also,
market.
now you also have the lab-grown diamond, so
yeah,
that's a
that's
whole
another-
other topic
that's
to
a
get
whole new
into.
thing, yeah.
Right, it's another thing to get into.
But you've got quite extraordinary jewelry here that is not necessarily the big, like, four-colored diamonds, but you've got, like, quite big stones, but more, not in fashion style, but more like cocktail rings and things that you can wear. And even though it's like a 10 carat of a tourmaline or sapphire or pave, whatever, and then it works. But, well, thank you so much
My
for
pleasure.
all
Thank
these
you.
insights.
Thank you.
It was great. And I'll see you at Watches and Wonders.
Absolutely.